I think a lot of people had written off meme coins, but I've seen meme coins come back in a big way actually in the last few weeks. And so we've seen more smart money addresses buying various different meme coins. So that's like an interesting and a little bit surprising start of the year. Agentic trading, or vibe trading, if you will, is going to do the same thing. It's going to allow people who are really active in the markets trading, they're going to get better because they're going to use these tools in a smart way.
Hello everyone, so welcome to yet another wonderful episode of BeInCrypto Podcast. I'm your host Harsh Notariya, editorial standard leads at BeInCrypto, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Alex Svanevik, who is the CEO of Nansen, a leading blockchain analytical platform. Alex has a huge passion for data, which comes from his over 10 plus years of experience in data science and AI. Alex, once again, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. So I would like to start by the overall overview of the markets, right? So the start of the year was very bullish, I'd say. We surged up to 95,000, I guess, and then now we are back once again to 91,000 range. So what's going on? Where's the market headed? What does data tell you?
Yeah, I think 2025 was a pretty strange year in many ways. There was a lot of institutional appetite for crypto and lots of tailwinds when it comes to regulations, the Genius Act, and now, hopefully have the Clarity Act soon. But at the same time, I think retail investors had pretty poor sentiment. And especially in Q4, it was pretty brutal. I saw, a lot of people on X talking about how, this is worse than, late 2018 and 2022, which to me is like super strange, because you look at all the progress we've made, like on the infrastructure side, on the regulatory side, and then people are still complaining. So it's like an interesting time. But I think 2026 has started off a little bit better than Q4 so far. We're also seeing more activity of people using our platform, for example, than in Q4. And there are a few new narratives and metas going on, like prediction markets are really hot, which is kind of crypto adjacent. Obviously, like I said, a Clarity Act and the regulations around that, I think, are going to be super important to get into legislation in the US. And then in terms of the data, it's still a little bit muted. The good thing is that you have a lot of activity on lots of different chains, right? Like Solana, BNB chain, Base, even new chains like Monad are seeing TVL growth and so on. So that's positive. But I think like the sentiment isn't quite back yet. Right. And you both are seeing that in terms of the price action, but also, on X. I will admit my whole X feed now is dominated by Claude Code instead of crypto. So, maybe that's a good thing. I think a lot of good projects will come out of that actually, and like we'll hopefully get better products in crypto all the time. Anyway, so that's kind of my view for now.
I would also want to discuss about Claude Code, right? But we'll get back to this later. It's really interesting what's happening with all the AI developments. But like coming back to our topic, so retail sentiment is at a low right now, right? So how are smart money positioning?
Yeah, so smart money, I think, depends a little bit on how you look at it. You're still seeing a lot of smart money wallets making money on chain. Like that's kind of by the definition of, what they do. And if I open up Nansen right now, I'm seeing various different tokens that smart money has been accumulating, whether it's meme coins like Pippin, tokens like Avicii, and then you're seeing them also being more active on certain stable coins that have been picking up like USDG and USD1. So this kind of changes every single day, which is like why you have to monitor it in real time. And so you'll always have people that are active on chain in crypto, right? In good times and bad times. and what they're buying depends, frankly, on the day. What I will say is, like, I think a lot of people had written off meme coins, but I've seen meme coins come back in a big way, actually, in the last few weeks. And so we've seen more smart money addresses buying various different meme coins. So that's like an interesting and a little bit surprising start of the year.
I think as long as crypto ecosystem is there, meme coins are going to stay because by nature, all the crypto investors, I mean, not all, not all, but most of the crypto investors are degen in nature, and people would love to gamble a bit on meme coins. So meme coins are always bound to come back, after months or even after a quarter of downtimes. So yeah, apart from meme coins, I observed that Q4 was all about privacy coins, Zcash and stuff, Q4 2025. So what does Q1 2026 hold for the market? What narratives should our viewers keep an eye on to pick up the next Zcash, let's say?
Right. I think there are a few narratives. I mean, like, I will admit that I'm kind of in crypto for the long run, which means that I tend to care more about narratives that I think have staying power. And so I'm maybe not the best person to come to get a prediction on like what's going to be hot next week and then disappear. So I'll give you my take from the perspective of what I think actually is here to stay for a while. And I think like prediction markets is a good area to look at. It's a little bit difficult to bet on as a narrative. Obviously, it makes sense to probably use the main prediction markets, whether it's Polymarket, She, Predict on BNB chain, and so on, to, in case that, people will be rewarded for that, which is not totally unlikely. I think another narrative that is probably going to come back because it had like a false start a little bit earlier is around agentic and AI tokens. And so, we have a really big bet on agentic trading in 2026. And if you download our mobile app, Nansen AI, you can actually work with our agent to research and discover new tokens. And actually, very soon, you'll be able to trade within the same product as well. And so I think the whole narrative of agentic trading is going to be really big. And I've also looked at a bunch of other projects that are doing stuff in this space. The difference is that now, we've actually built AI and agentic products, whereas like the false start we had, I guess 1.5 or 2 years ago was mostly just AI tokens in name, but there was no like substance or fundamentals associated with it. So I think that's going to be a big theme for this year. And actually, by the way, one thing that's interesting with the prediction markets is that we're going to have the World Cup for those who are interested in sports and football later this year. So I think that's going to be really big on prediction markets volume. And I expect to see more crypto investors be more active in prediction markets going forward. And then maybe the third thing I'll mention is anything around tokenized stocks. So both potentially private equity, but definitely, public equities that you can trade, I think are going to be, more something that people trade on chain, on Solana, on Monad, BNB chain, Base, etc. So that's maybe the third narrative that I personally think is interesting. So, and then, there's going to be lots of surprising things too. Maybe just one more thing that I think we're going to see is like someone's going to create sort of a pump.fun of vibe coding apps. I've seen like attempts at doing this so far, but that makes a lot of sense in some ways to kind of speculate on agents that you're bullish on. Virtual kind of does this in a way, but I think doing it in a more interesting way where like the agents are actually building applications and products and then getting some ownership in that. I think that's definitely a trend I think we're going to see get a lot bigger with the Claude Code mania that's going on right now as well.
So, like, you're bullish on prediction markets, right? But how can a person utilize prediction market in a smart manner? Because, for instance, if I'm betting on outcome of a football match, for instance, it's 50-50 percentage odds, right? The team can either win or the team can lose. But yeah,
Depends who's playing. So I agree it's always 50-50. But Well, I think there's a few things there. Like, you can look at prediction markets in two ways. One is that they're a place where you can actually make bets. The other way to look at them is that they're information sources, right?
Mhm.
And this is probably the more, let's call it, positive value to society, that now, because people are betting and speculating, they are possibly the best place to get information about future events and what's going to happen. So I think it'll be more common to consume information from prediction markets, even agentically, right? So imagine I have an AI agent that is helping me trade. If I can feed all of the information from prediction markets into it, it has way more information about what is likely going to happen in the future. And so as soon as something changes in prediction markets, that agent should possibly reposition its portfolio or its trades. So I think that use case is going to get more common. And I would expect more and more people to incorporate data from prediction markets into their workflows as investors and traders.
Yeah, interesting. Because there have been a couple of events, right, which the prediction market almost correctly predicted. For instance, the recent Venezuela incident, I think it was being like people were betting on it on Poly Market and other prediction market platforms. So like if I were to trade today, right, using agentic AI, what like by the end of 2026, do I expect that I might be sleeping or I might be vacationing somewhere, but the agentic AI bot would keep on making money for me? How is
Yeah.
it possible? Like, yeah.
Yeah, this is a really great question. I think the way I think about it is kind of, you can think of it as like multiple different phases of how these products are going to look like. But let's make it really simple and just say that there are two stages. Stage one is when you are using the AI as a co-pilot and you're exploring the market with it. You're asking the questions. You're saying, hey, okay, go and buy this token. And then it does that for you. That's like the co-pilot user experience. It's great because it eliminates a lot of the friction, right? If you can really have a great user experience there where you don't have to go to this separate website and check 5 different dexes to find the right price and the best price, and then sign it, with a separate wallet. It's like a really crappy user experience if you think about it. But if you could just ask the agent to do it for you as like a co-pilot or a concierge, that is kind of a much better user experience, in my opinion. So that's probably stage one. And basically, Nansen AI is at that stage right now, right? And if you're a pro subscriber, you can actually do all of those things with our mobile app today. And then in probably 2 weeks, you'll be able to also trade even if you don't have a paid Nansen subscription. So that's like a really important stage. But I think probably the more interesting stage that comes later is this thing that you're describing where it's almost like full self-driving or autonomous trading. And I think there's probably a path from the co-pilot stage to that autonomous trading stage where I think a lot of users are kind of expecting that they can just prompt a trading strategy, right? They can just say, hey, I want to be really early on buying meme coins that Smart Money has bought, like within half an hour after the tokens have launched. I'd only want to trade on Solana. And, if a token goes down more than 40%, just cut your losses and sell it. If they go up like 10x, then take profits. And like those kinds of broad stroke strategies. And then you kind of just expect the agent to like work continuously and do that for you. And maybe you monitor it and it has some kind of like circuit breakers so that it stops. It's something goes horribly wrong. And, I would expect that this is the year when we see those types of products become much more popular. You do have like trading bots already, but they've been very like rules based and there's not that much intelligence in them. And they also don't really consume new events and information about the world. And so this goes back to the prediction markets thing. Like if you have an autonomous agent that's trading on your behalf and it has a strategy, but it also has access to like every data point from Polymarket or Kalshi, in my opinion, like that is most likely going to do a better job than if it didn't have that data, right? So anyway, I think those are like the two canonical stages, and there's a bunch of stages in between where you can sort of, You can have like rules-based triggers. You can set like limit orders through agent and all this stuff. But I think starting with nailing the Copilot-like user experience is what we're going to do. And then over time, we're going to move into what we have described as like agent vaults or autonomous trading strategies.
So, will there be people who might trick these agentic bots into false signals? So, like, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
for an truth, yes.
so how can a trader protect themselves then?
Yeah, so I mean, this is the thing with crypto. You always have like new games.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the new game we're playing. We're trying to now create really great trading strategies that can be autonomously implemented. And then, well, here's a new complication to the game, which is that now someone might try to manipulate these agents, right? So that's something you have to factor in, and that's something that you have to build for to make sure that it doesn't get fooled, right? There are many, by the way, like another thing I predict for this year is that there's going to be so many agentic trading products, and like 80, 90, 95, 98% of them are going to be terrible, and they're going to lose people money. So like, this is kind of sad in a way, because I don't want people to lose money, firstly. And secondly, I don't want to give like a bad reputation to something that is potentially going to be revolutionary in a good way. But I think that's going to happen. And there are many naive ways where you can totally trick the agent. Like you've probably seen those like scams where people send like fake USDC right after you've made a transaction, and like it looks like the fake one is the right one, copy the wrong token address. You can imagine those types of attacks, but focus on agents, right? And so a lot of people are going to lose money for sure, and you have to build the right guardrails and be smart about what the agent can and cannot do. So yeah, I think that's like inevitable, but it's part of the game to build a really great product that doesn't, that's not prone to those types of attacks.
Yeah, so that's what makes me think that there's no escape from being smart. Like you need to be very active in the market. Yeah. There's never a free lunch.
Well, I would like maybe push back a little bit on that. I do think what I would say is, the analogy I would make is to like vibe coding, right? Where if you take a product like Cursor or Claude Code for that matter, it has kind of done two things at the same time. Number one, it has made existing software engineers way more productive. And number two, it has made people who aren't software engineers able to code. So I think agentic trading, or vibe trading, if you will, is going to do the same thing. It's going to allow people who are really active in the markets trading, they're going to get better because they're going to use these tools in a smart way. But also, I think people who haven't historically traded are now going to feel like this is more fun and it's less friction than like going to some like really complex order book UI and trading and like 20 tabs open with different information sources. So, you know, I think like it'll just be like a new game. It's like a new way to trade. And just like software engineers who didn't embrace AI are falling behind very rapidly.
Yeah.
I think the same thing's going to happen with trading. Like if you're kind of sticking to your old setup of, 20 different tabs, and the order book UI, very quickly you're going to get out traded by people who have smarter ways to trade and invest.
Yeah. So I read your tweet where you said that vibe coding is a textbook disruption, right? So I want to ask for our viewers, how can traders make better tools for themselves using, let's say, Claude Code, for instance, or other vibe coding tools?
Yeah. By the way, this is like relevant for anyone, traders, builders, it doesn't matter what you do. But you should just go and install Claude Code right after watching this if you haven't already. It's not that difficult. Just like literally Google Claude Code, get the command, paste it into your terminal, install it. And I think the thing about Claude Code is like the name suggests that it's only for coding, which is totally wrong. It's actually for everything. Yeah, you can code things now in like 20 minutes that historically would have taken like 2 months potentially. Mm-hmm. But you can also use it to just automate a bunch of things and like create really helpful workflows and all these different things. So if you're watching this and you have not installed Claude Code, you are at risk, and you need to go in and do it right after watching this video, because it's just like a different way to work. It's like a new way to get anything done. And the cool thing also, by the way, is that with Nansen, we have our API, and our API has an MCP. If that sounds cryptic, it just means that it's like a tool that Claude can work with. So you could actually build your own either autonomous or semi-automated workflows where you can pull in data from Nansen through Claude Code. And so I'm seeing this more and more, that people are kind of, instead of relying on like the one web application that you can sort of find on the website, people are just like, let me create my own thing and then just pull the data from the API. And you don't have to be a software engineer to do that anymore. You can literally just go to Claude Code, say what you want to build, say you want to use the Nansen API or the Nansen MCP to get on-chain flows and like having eyes on the blockchain. And, it can do that for you. So I think that's like, people are interested in on-chain and crypto. That's actually a pretty good place to start. Like just go into Claude Code, say, hey, I want to build something around on-chain investing, on-chain trading. Help me generate some ideas. I want to use the Nansen API. And then you could build something. So I'll give you one specific example, because yesterday I was thinking, how long is it going to take me to build like kind of a bubble maps or like a network diagram type UI with our data? And in like 20, 30 minutes, I built a really solid visualization tool where I can plug in any token address, get Nansen data on who the top holders are and how they're connected. And it's interactive, and I can expand it and like all these different things. And it took me 20, 30 minutes to build it.
Got it. Wow, interesting.
And anyone could have done that. Like you don't have to be an engineer. Like you could have done that same thing as what I did yesterday. You just need to have our API to do it.
Yeah, I used to believe that coding is one of the superpower, that that if you possess that superpower, it unlocks various magic for you. But I think now the ability to communicate clearly, like to write prompts clearly, is a superpower, because the friction to code has been reduced drastically, and now I think anyone could code using these various AI tools. So yeah, but moving on, like our viewers should download Claude Code, right? But what like, can you give away one strategy? Like, hey, like ask Claude Code to do one specific thing. Is it tracking a certain smart money wallet, or what strategy can viewers implement right away to find great trades using these AI tools, Claude Code plus Nansen?
Yeah, so what you can do is, hey, I want to build a web app that shows what smart money has been buying in the last 24 hours or 1 hour or something like that. And our API exposes that. And so, you can configure how you want to view it and display it. Of course, you could just go to like the web app we have and see some of that there. But people often have their own preferences, right? And I think part of the magic as an investor and trader is that you need to have your own strategy. Like if everyone has the same strategy, like it's no longer alpha, right? So I would just say, like, what, help me make use of what smart money is doing as a way to just discover potentially good opportunities. It does not, just to be very clear also, it does not necessarily mean that if you just buy those tokens, you will always win, right? You need to actually, and maybe that's part of your workflow. Hey, let's use those as a starting point. And the next step I want to make is to do a deeper due diligence on each of the top 3. And then like figure out which one of them I want to buy. And like, then you can, who knows, connect other data sources or, come up with smart perspectives to look at that. But yeah, so there's no like evergreen strategy that's always going to work for everyone. Part of the point is you kind of need to have your own take on it. But at the very least, you can start with that as like a discovery mechanism, seeing what smart money is doing. These are addresses that have made a lot of money in the past. And so they're probably worth looking at in terms of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So once a person gets a list of coins, for instance, once they discovers those coins, what how do they validate whether to invest in those coins? Like, is it through technical analysis? Like, can people see good support or breakouts to before jumping in and buying those tokens, or what should be the next process in the workflow?
Yeah, there's a few things. Like I think most people want to look at the price chart. If the chart looks bad in the sense that it's kind of going down, it looks like it has peaked. In many cases, you may want to stay away from it, especially if we're talking about meme coins and tokens that have a pretty short shelf life. And then the next thing a lot of people look at is who has been buying and selling lately. So, okay, there's a bit of a dip now, like who actually sold. And it looks like some of the key smart money addresses or key influencers or public figures are the sellers. Yeah, again, maybe you want to stay away. Maybe there's a good reason for that. If it's kind of random ones that sold and like the public figures, smart money, main characters that you kind of believe in as good investors are still in, maybe then you should consider jumping in, right? So who bought and who sold is a good thing to look at as well. And then you can look at other things like concentration, right? Who has the ability to potentially nuke the chart? Who could sell a lot and dump on you, right? As opposed to kind of, does this supply look healthy? The holders or long-term holders, and do you see continued accumulation? Sometimes the most successful liquid funds take a while to build a position. If you think of, I'm just giving you some like historical examples. If you think of Defiance Capital, right? They were really early on Aave. They were really early on, or at least Arthur, who runs it, was early on SNX at the right time, right? And so he didn't just buy those overnight and then stopped, right? He would accumulate at the right time. So that's another thing you can look at, like accumulation, and conversely, whether funds are selling. It's really easy to see this stuff, by the way, in our web app as well. But if people want to develop their own, like more automated or programmatic workflows, I think working with Claude Code and our API or our MCP is a really, really, I think, great opportunity to build something that's a bit more unique.
So Alex, I think let's delve into very specific. On an average, how much time can our viewers find alpha on Nansen? Like, what's the average time to find alpha using that platform? And to actually prove that thing, can you share your screen and help us find the alpha live on this podcast?
So this is the homepage, Token Screener. And by the way, you can configure Token Screener to whatever you want, chains you're interested in. And we have a bunch of them that we support, whether you want to look at perps or whether you want to look at spot, right? There's a lot of different things you could look at. Perps, often you look at the majors, right? And so, BTC, ETH, Dcash, and so on. Whereas the spot stuff that you're seeing on chain very often is more like small cap tokens. But again, you can actually configure that here. You can go and look at small caps. You can change the sectors because we classify tokens into different sectors. You can look at the age of tokens. So if you really want to look at stuff that has just launched, you can configure that, right? So here's a Venezuela token. I'm not saying you should buy that, but you kind of get the idea. So you can basically configure all this stuff to what you want. So let's just click through on one of these, right? And the next view here is Avicii. This token God mode for Avicii. And one cool thing is that you see the chart here. You can basically click this visualizer and you can see where people have been buying or selling, like specific addresses. So here's someone called wronguser.sol. And here's another one that is an anonymous address that's been buying a lot lately. And conversely, you can say who's been selling. Oh, Loopify. That is a public figure. They even have an X account, so you can go check them out. What have they been doing? Well, they've been trading very actively, it seems, up and down, but they've both been buying and selling. But lately, they've been net selling, right? So this kind of gives you a bit of an X-ray vision on the price chart, and also who has been buying and selling at the right time. So this can inform you, based on what you believe about that token. You can also look at the top holders. And so I'll show you two things. Firstly, you have the actual kind of the main payable, which can be, you can interact with that and sort it. You can look at who's been buying or who's been accumulating in the last 30 days, MetaDAO, in this case, the treasury, has been scooping up quite a bit. They own 2.2% of all the tokens here, it seems. Then Futarchy, which is a liquidity pool for this one and USDC, has seen outflow, which probably means someone has been buying that token out of the liquidity pool. So that could potentially be bullish. You can also roll this up to the entity level, which is a unique Nansen thing, because again, we have the best labeling in the world of addresses. So we have 500 million addresses labeled. That means we could actually roll up and say, hey, here's Sandra, by the way, who's an ex-Nansen employee. That's kind of funny, who owns quite a bit of this token across her addresses. Or here's Moneylord, Meteora, and so on and so forth. So you can aggregate this to one level up higher up. And then the other thing which people have been doing quite a bit lately is to look at this chart, which aggregates this stuff, right? So below you see the balances, but here you can look at different metrics, whether it's cost basis, whether it's just the total balance, and you can do this for different categories. Like here's smart money. Actually, interestingly enough, it looks like smart money has largely exited this token, right? Which is kind of interesting. And then public figures have been selling off as well, actually, in terms of the balance. And then whales have increased a little bit. And then exchanges have decreased a little bit on this time horizon. This is 30 days. You can also configure it and be like, let's look at 90 days. Let's look at smart money over 90 days, right? So you basically get an X-ray vision on the token. And the last thing I'll show is the P&L leaderboard, where you can go in and see who are the addresses that have actually made money, either realized or unrealized for this token. And you can then go in and say, hey, actually, whoever realized this had the best realized returns, ace.sol. You can go in and you can say, hey, I want to create a smart alert. And whenever this address buys something above, let's say 100K, then our agent helps you to set up a smart alert. And you can get notifications for this address. And
Interesting.
Yeah, you get the idea. And so this will set this up for you. And what I would say is part of the magic of Nansen is that there's kind of infinite areas you can go down, like different rabbit holes and stuff you can do. So everyone has to find their own way. But what I would recommend is start with the front page, play around with the parameters, get familiar with token God mode, and then do things like the deep research that I showed you here. And then, the very last thing I'll mention, like you maybe saw in the user interface, is that if I just look up any of the tokens, you can use the search bar, which is quite convenient, is very soon you're going to be able to swap in the same user interface. So you don't have to go elsewhere to execute trade. You can just go in here and you can say, I like Pengu. Let's buy something here live. I like Pengu. So boom, I just bought some Pengu. So that's pretty cool. And it makes the whole user experience feel more integrated and seamless. So yeah, that's a bit of a crash course on Nansen.
Yeah, I think our viewers will find this extremely valuable. Alex, this was a very valuable session with you. We would also love to connect with you for some other episodes, but thank you for joining us for today's episode of BeInCrypto Podcasts.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.